Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Cox,
Here.
Epperson, Dominic,
Here.
Escudate,
Here.
Smith, Thibodeau, Johnson. We have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Since we did the invocation and the pledge at the last meeting, we'll carry that over. Any agenda additions? See none? Okay,
Got an announcement, Mr. President?
yes. We have a, let's see, ordered, okay. We just had an is there a Roy Darlow or Darrow in the audience? Roy? Darrow?
Dallin.
Did you lose a cell phone by chance? Did you lose a cell phone by chance? No, this would have been where, Ken?
They left it at Louisiana Tech game Saturday. That's it. You got it? Okay. They look. Hey, they called me about 2 o'clock in the morning, scared the devil out of me. I got a daughter in Washington D.C. and my son down at LSU. I thought something had happened, man.
I talked to you earlier, but I'll have to.
I know it.
Don't have to change.
See, I'm good for something, aren't I even tried to come down and find you Sunday down Woolworth Road. You said something about 2 ponds in front of your house or something. But I didn't see nowhere. I wanted to go off down in there, though. Okay.
All right. So it's a good thing you got it. Because Lord knows cell phones are like water now. They're everywhere. All right. This meeting is, first off, I want to thank everybody for being here today. This is a subject that has went a long way on social media, both good and bad, and I'm glad to see the support. Hopefully by the end of this meeting you will understand what our committee meeting will be doing and trying to get this issue closed up. So anyway, as this meeting goes on, I do have cards here. The way this any committee meeting works is we got 15 minutes for both sides, for and against. So we did take the cards in, and we'll start until we get to the 15 minutes. We'll go from there. All right, first public comment comes from Greg Juna out of 5349 North Market. Greg, are you here?
Yes, sir, here I am.
Well, come on down.
All right. Mr. Bryant.
Oh, and let's, if you do have a cell phone, let's go ahead and put them on silent. And that way we don't have to worry about those things.
Well, you sure know how to get a lot of attention, Mr. Cox.
Well, you know, it's my last 3 months here, so I might as well do something.
Of course, I think everyone here
Name and address,
is going to
please.
be
Name
upset.
and address.
I'm sorry. My name is Greg Juno. The address, my home address is 5349 North Market. That's where I lay my head. All right. So my main concern is, first of all, Senator Peacock's bill or Act 259 states that it's if it's 5 acres or more, then it's excluded from the your control over regulating it as far as this goes, right? So,
Just talk to us, that's all.
okay, well, so, you know, first, I think the thing is just going to be a bad ordinance because it's conflicting state law. And, you know, to me, that's a big deal. I mean, I don't think that it should do that. So, and I also am wondering what actually, who designates a gun range? I mean, who authorizes a gun range? Now, I know the sheriff's office has ranges, and of course SPD does. But if a private company has a gun range, who actually blesses that gun range as safe or not? So, anyway, that's a question I'd like answered, but because I haven't found that answered. But,
Okay,
that's about it.
thank you. And just to, which I didn't say, each individual has up to 3 minutes and 15 minutes per side. So next card is Larry Lawson on Dixie Blanchard. Larry, are you here?
David, why don't you call 2 or 3 at a time?
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, that's good. If I'm going to call somebody's names, if you would, if I call your name, either stand on that aisle or that aisle. Jason McNeil. Where you at, Jason? Jason, if you will, just stop by that pillar right there. Let's go with Noble Wimble? Blanchard? Blanchard, sir?
Wumble.
Well, come on down, sir.
Hey, we talk loud in Blanchard.
Yeah.
We talk loud on Lakeside too.
Jack Lamb. Jack, if you would, just stand over on this side. We'll get one more, and then we'll go from there. Mark Roberts. No, by the pillar, sir. Right over there by the... Yeah, that's good enough. Mr. Mark Roberts. Okay, just stand over there, and that way we got 4 in waiting. All right. Michelle, if they get to 3 minutes, let me know. Okay? All right, name and address, sir.
Larry Lawson. I live at 8704 Dixie Blanchard Road, Shreveport, Louisiana.
Go ahead.
All right, all I want to say is, I don't know you, but what I'm hearing from you, I kindly don't like you.
Yeah.
You know.
You're not the first, you're not the last.
And nothing personal, but see, you got a bunch of guys back here that are from the country.
Yes.
And hunting is a big deal. See, and if y'all do this, or the next thing y'all gonna do is say, well, y'all can't use any more live bait to fish with, you're gonna have to use artificial bait. You know, same kind of deal. And if you're out of the city limits, still in the parish, that you know, as long as you're 1,000 yards away from any dwelling or anything, that you should still be able to hunt. You know, especially on private land. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I want to say, and thank you.
I appreciate it. Well, that was interesting. All right.
You're not the first one to say
Jason.
that.
Name and address, please, sir.
Jason McNeil, 9107 Red Wing Court, Shreveport, Louisiana. I basically just want to oppose this. I hunt on property that is close to several subdivisions, but it's a family tradition. We use the utmost safety. You know, it's just something that happens because, you know, subdivisions are progressively building closer and closer to everyone's hunting area. Safety is a big issue, I understand, but I don't know any hunter that has a laser and is going to be pointing it into someone's house. I don't know anyone that does that. I basically just want to say I speak for a lot of people that hunt close to subdivisions or in Caddo Parish, and we just don't want this. We were all against it. But I also want to ask this, and you clarify this. The current statute states that you cannot discharge a firearm within 5 miles of the city of Shreveport. Am I correct? How many?
That is the current, but we can't comment on what you say.
Sure, okay, well, what you're proposing here is already in effect. So we're basically all breaking, well, not all, but some of us are already currently breaking the law. So, I mean, if you have it already in effect at that level, then I don't see anything to change it. I appreciate what y'all are trying to do, but I just want to say that I oppose it. Thank you.
No problem, sir. Noble?
Yes, sir.
Come on down, sir.
I'm gonna try.
Well, it looks like you're doing pretty good.
I just want to say, I don't know you, so I can't make a judgment.
Name and address.
Noble Womble, 7399 Blanchard Burr Road.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Go ahead.
My property, 100 acres and 500 behind me, and I'm a half a mile from Duke Hills. That would put me in this whole deal. I don't understand it. If they invent a bullet that can go around and hit Duke Hills from where I shoot straight south at my 100-yard range, they ought to sell it to the military, okay?
I agree.
All the oak and the pines and all that, they're getting battered, but no house is. So, do I oppose it? Yes, sir. Does it make any sense to a hunter, a shooter? Because I don't hunt, I just shoot.
Yes, sir.
No, sir, it doesn't. I know that's y'all's call, but somebody gonna have hell to pay, and that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna be able to get some more cards up here, so if I call you, just either go to that podium or that podium. James Robinson, Leech Lane. James, you here?
Got somebody standing now, David.
Okay, well, everybody's here, just stay right there, James. Let's see, Joseph Rachel? Rochelle, Joseph? Joseph?
You got me?
Okay. Well, you'll be behind that gentleman right there. All right, Jack, come on up.
Jack Lamb, 6121 Fern Avenue, 71105.
Okay, hold on one second. You starting to clock? Okay. All right, go ahead, sir.
I'm just really repeating Senator Peacock. I felt like he covered it pretty thorough. I'm a little confused about some of the comments. The first gentleman said that it was in conflict with the state law. It's my understanding from Senator Peacock that the law now exists and that it's pretty clear and it's pretty thorough into it. And then other comment as far as safety is concerned, the safety issue there and the burden of it falls on the shoulders of the person with the gun, the person who owns the property, and the person or persons who feel like they're endangered. That wraps up the whole thing right there. You can put a shooting range most anywhere. You can have it in your house if you want to. But still, you've got to be prudent in safety and your neighbors as well. And if your neighbor has a problem with it, then they should address it and talk to you about it and get it taken care of. All this other stuff I really don't understand. I have spent most of my life shooting, competition, and hunting, and getting shot at, and I feel like I know a little something about it on both ends of it. And I'm a fanatic on the gun safety end of it. And the people just have to understand that from time to time, there will be some violations where somebody what I've found out is through pure ignorance that they'll violate some shooting, but I've yet to encounter a situation where somebody was just completely out of control and ridiculous about it. And you've got that backup that's called the law enforcement. If you have a problem with talking to your neighbor or somebody you don't know, all you have to do is call the law enforcement. That's their job to handle that, and even if it's a safety issue. And I'm confused as to what you're for and what you're against, because it's already the law, and I think we'll have to follow that law and just plain common sense and neighborliness, really.
Thank you, sir. I'm gonna call up two more if y'all stand by the podium, and then we'll bring up James and Joseph. Vernon Monk. You will just stand by that podium over there. Roland McKinney. McKinley.
McNeely.
McNeely. Thank you, sir. Let's go one more. Yes, sir. I'm just doing the cards. Solus Marshall?
Yeah, that's fine.
Mr. Marshall?
It's me.
Yes, sir. You just hold tight and I'll call you when you come up. All right, James. Name and address, please, sir.
James Robinson, 10398 Leech Lane, Shreveport, 71129. Two things. First thing I would like to know is the number of people here that are for the ordinance and against the ordinance.
Well, we can get, you can say anything you want
Can
to
you
right now.
hold your hand up who's for the ordinance? For it. We got one that's for it. Everybody against it. Hold your hand up. Next thing I would like to do, and I'm sure you're not gonna do it, I'd like the author of the ordinance to explain it in layman's terms.
Can I do that
Not
right
legal, in layman's terms.
Can I do that right now?
Do it right now. Take my 3 minutes.
Can I do it? We have rules. All right, Joseph. Name and address, please, sir.
Go to Rashal, Vivian, Louisiana, 717 South Pine Street, Vivian, Louisiana. I'm president of the Whitetail Hunting Club, represent 13 different hunters standing here today, and a number of other hunters throughout Caddo Parish. First of all, I don't think whoever presented this ordinance, or whatever you want to call it, I don't think he thought it out, the common sense of it at all. $40 million impact on your community and everybody in here. At least that. And if you want me to go down the sales with you and tell you which one it is, I can. Spent 8 hours last night looking at it. Kids are affected, adults, wives, businesses. Everybody's affected by this ordinance. Common sense is the first thing needs to be brought. People have to have common sense. If you live in a subdivision and you're adjacent to a hunting area, know those people. Know that they know how to do what they're doing out there. Visit with them. State Department of Agriculture, your law enforcement agencies can let you in on who's hunting there, who's doing whatever. Now, firing range is a little different deal. That's a business, as far as I'm concerned. That should be controlled. But when it comes down to, you're going to tell private property owners they can't lease this property, they cannot allow people to hunt on it, you're taking money out of their pocket and everybody else's. So you need to rethink it before you present something like this, especially when there's already laws on the books that can be used. And state and federal laws subsede anything you do. And if you want to go into the law books, go into the law books. There's ordinances. I mean, they got numbers there. They go one right after the other. It'll put you in your right place. Thank you.
Vernon? Vernon? Oh. Name and address.
Name is Vernon Monk, 8204 Chickamauga Trail, Shreveport, Louisiana, Indian Hills area. And Mr. Cox, I understand that you're the instigator of this.
Well, not the instigator.
Wait a minute. All these people out here are deer hunters, turkey hunters, and what do you want these people to do? Just because you want to pass a law, they're not going to stop hunting. You want them to crowd Bossier City and Red River Parish and DeSoto Parish to hunt game and put other people. There's houses within 5-mile radius of anywhere you deer hunt. And it ain't guns that kill people, it's people kills people.
I agree.
Well, what are you trying to pass, Mr. Cox? You trying to top all, you don't deer hunt, do you?
You betcha I do.
Do you?
Yes,
Where
I
at?
do. What?
Where at? No, nowhere now. I promise you there's a house. I promise you there's a house within 1,000 yards of where you hunt at. Are those people in danger when you're up in a deer stand?
I cannot answer you.
I wish you could. But all these people are going to have to crowd the other parishes to deer hunt or turkey hunt. And I don't think any of these people have ever killed anybody. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Roland? Name and address.
Roland McNeely III, 9430 Woodbriar Road, Shreveport, 71129. Commissioner Cox, I know you, I like you, but I disagree with this proposal. I know that you hunt deer. Look, we got laws on the books that take care of this issue. We have assault charges. If somebody is pointing a weapon and a laser sight at a house, they can be prosecuted for that. We have illegal use of weapons. If somebody negligently discharges a firearm, we have laws for that. That's a felony. Has enhanced penalties upon further violations. Commissioner Smith, I want to thank you for calling me back last week. We talked a little bit about this. We've got laws on the books that take care of your concerns. What's going to happen is you're going to make it impossible. In fact, you're going to curb law-abiding, safe gun owners, and then you're going to separate out the unlaw-abiding gun owners. They're going to violate the law no matter what. They're criminals. That's what they do. Anybody that shoots towards a house, they're negligent. They shouldn't have a firearm in the first place. Anybody that shoots within 100 feet of a house, they shouldn't have a firearm. They're reckless. They're dangerous. It's those people. I ask you, Commissioner Cox, I ask the rest of you, please don't make it difficult, impossible for those of us who are law-abiding, safe gun users. The criminals, they're going to go out and shoot towards a house. They're not going to get caught. I ask that you reconsider this. It's 1,000 yards from the city of Shreveport now, but it's just going to grow and grow. We've got laws on the books. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. All right, I'm going to call up a few more people. Mr. Solis, if you want to go ahead and start coming up here. And while he's coming up, I'm trying to get as many people as we can. Bubba Dunn. Bubba? Oh, okay, just stand over there, Bubba.
Is this what I speak to?
Yeah, let me call a few people up. Joy Paulette. Joy? S. Scott Stacy. I think that's what it is. Godfrey Road. Raise your hand. Okay. Mike Evans. Mike Evans. Okay. All right. That'll get us going for the next round.
Well, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion that we add 15 more minutes. to
Second.
the time.
And believe it or not, I was gonna make that same motion because
I beat you to
I
it.
want everybody to be heard in here today. And we don't have that many cars left, so, that'd be great. Thank you, sir. Let's vote on that. We can't vote by machine, just raise your right hand if you.
Just committee members.
That's committee. All right, son, state your name and address.
Okay, my name is Solus E. Marshall, 11290 Cleveland Road. I've got 2.5 acres where I'm at, and my girl's got 7 acres where she's at. And I don't attempt to hunt on just what I've got, but she's got 7 acres, just about 1.5 miles from there. And we have problems with coyotes. If you wanted to squirrel hunt, could I hunt with a shotgun in that 3 acres? I mean, in that about 7 acres, and the subdivision would be probably 300 yards at the back of it, and I don't know whether that's legal or not. I didn't even know this was taking place till a couple of days ago. But I've hunted there all my life, pretty well. I was born there in Mansfield, but I've been living 40 years up there in Keyfield. And I live right down on Cleveland Road where all Bison and all of them that's got their place. And they got like 60 or 80 acres. And, you know, they shoot big guns back there to practice if you want to. And I don't understand, you know, that would eliminate them. So I would think it would. So it would help in all of us trying to, you know, sight our guns in. Now I was just wondering, have you actually used any kind of gun to control the animals that you don't want, you know? Do you know, or?
We will answer a lot of y'all's questions after. We just can't converse with you
okay.
right now.
Well, that's basically what I got.
Well, I appreciate you coming out, sir.
Hello, I'm Bubba Dunn, 8195 Highway 79, Greenwood. I had a lot of stuff written down here I was going to say, and everybody else pretty much said it. But first, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out and standing up for not just gun rights, and y'all have stripped us of it. I know you can't answer anything, but I've got a bunch of questions about the new one. 5 mile thing, we were told by Mr. Cox prior to the meeting, the 5 mile thing's out. It's right here. I'm assuming this is the new ordinance that y'all putting out to vote on. 5 mile in whole or part within the city limits of Shreveport or within 5 miles of the city limits of Shreveport within the parish. 1,000 yards is 2/3 of a mile. That's not much consolation what they're giving us. I'm here to say not only repeal what we got, don't vote on anything, we are not giving up 1 acre of our property rights. And what really gets me is the audacity. What gets me is the audacity in certain members of y'all, when somebody comes up here upset, y'all smirk. Boy, I wish we could get a break on our property tax for the hours we spent on this right here with a show of hands and vote ourselves a property exemption. But we can't do that. But after the meeting, when y'all talk about this, I want to know what the 5 miles is about. Thank you.
Joey Paulette, 202 Murray Street, Vivian, Louisiana. A lot of it's already been said. I don't agree with the 1,000-yard rule. I hunt on the same hunting lease as Mr. Rochelle. We, 13 members, we got a 300-yard rule between each stand. Perfectly safe. I'm here to say that I want the 5 mile, and the only way I know how to say it's the Metropolitan Planning Commission land plus the mile that was added in 2008. I'd like for y'all to rescind that ordinance, take that ordinance away. There is a multitude of land within that 6 mile circle or horseshoe, because we got a river splitting us between Shreveport and Bossier, that is available to hunters. And now you take into consideration progress. We've just recently seen I-49 go split right through North Caddo Parish. All the acreage there that's gone, that was open hunting land, for the most part very rural land. We got a lot of farmland up here that the landowners would love to have people in there hunting because, and I've not heard this said in any of the other gentlemen's comments, we're past the point of having a hog population. We're at a hog epidemic that destroys thousands upon thousands of dollars of farmland, woodland, crops. If it's not for the hunters, who's going to protect the city of Shreveport from those hogs showing up at your back door? It's easy to say they're not there, but I drive Highway 71, I drive I-49, I drive Highway 1 every day. Every day within the city of the limits of Shreveport, you see a hog carcass on the road where it's done been struck by an automobile. If you don't think these animals are vicious, mess with one of them. Mess with them. They will eat you alive. They will tear up your crops. They'll get into your gated communities. They will get into your subdivisions, and they don't care. We have enough laws on the book. You have to have written landowner approval to be able to hunt on that piece of property. Is that not true?
Yep, sir.
Louisiana Wildlife and Fisheries expects that. Louisiana Wildlife and Fisheries also expects you have to have a license, whether it's small game, big game, duck, turkey, whatever the case may be. Mr. Peacock's rule is already sufficient enough to cover anything else that's not covered under Louisiana Wildlife and Fisheries. Gentlemen, I ask that you not only repeal the future ordinance, but also the ordinance that's already on the books. Thank you.
Mike? Okay. While Mike's coming up, we'll go ahead and set some more guys up, or more people up. Andy Brinkman. Andy?
Mike Eves.
Wait a minute, Mike. Let me call up a few people. Mark Meadows. Medicus, sorry. Candace Hamilton. David Todd. Get one more. Stephen Wright. Stephen? If you will, just stand behind that podium right there, sir, and we'll give it to you. All right. If you will, give us your name and address, please, sir.
Mike Eves, 9492 Soda Point, Shreveport. Most of what I had to say has been said. One thing I would say is, if I live in the country, I expect to hear shots. I hope to hear shots. Anything controlling the guns is one more step toward gun control. It don't have anything to do with it. We shouldn't have any gun control laws. They're already covered. Everything's already been said. We don't need any more. We need to repeal that Metropolitan Planning Commission. You know how much property is taken up by that 5 mile plus the 1 mile. There's a lot of people own property in there. A lot of people have hunting places in there, and you know, how'd you like to be a landowner? You pay your taxes off your hunting lease with money. You can't do that anymore. You know, it all needs to be repealed and done away with. No more gun control. I don't even gun hunt. I bow hunt, so I'm not affected like 99% of these people. But I'm strictly against it. It's just a terrible thing. We need no more gun control, and who has the right to tell you what you can do with your property? It's illegal. It's legal. You have no right to restrict people with what they can do with their own property.
Andy. Come up and say your name and address, please, sir.
Andy Bickham, 8881 Crestwell, Shreveport, 71106. Never been in this building.
Well, welcome.
Don't get mixed up in political stuff. But I'm pretty emotional about this. I've got a friend who lives not too far from me in a new subdivision, and there's been 2 tragic accidents at that subdivision. Horrible accidents. They need a stoplight at that subdivision. They've been told that 3 deaths need to occur at that subdivision before a stoplight can be put up. I want to know how many non-hunters have been killed by hunters in the past 20 years in Shreveport, in Caddo Parish. It must have been huge. The answer must be huge for you to be doing what you're doing.
Thank you, sir. Mark?
Mark Medicus, 10455 Linwood Avenue. I'm within the radius of this you're talking about. It hits our subdivision pretty good. I like the fact that the sheriff department and some deputies live around us, and right behind our property in our subdivision is a leased property from Scalar Phillips Oil, and they hunt back there. And I love to hear those guns going off and them shooting those deer and getting after those hogs back there. But see, my daughter owns some land over off of Shadlon. Dead ends into the woods and all those woods back there. To your back is a subdivision, but out there is nothing but woods and highline. And my grandson is 8 years old. I've got 6 grandchildren, but my young grandson of 8 years is learning to hunt, and his dad takes him out to hunt out there on that land through that highline. And so far they've killed let's see, my grandson would give him $1 for every water moccasin he kills. So he killed 11 of those this year.
That's good.
He killed 3 copperheads, so he's trying to save up to get him a Jeep. That's what he says he wants when he's 16. Now, I do know that Louisiana, the last I heard, was the sportsman's paradise. I don't know what. When we go skeet shooting, there's 6 guys standing side by side. We don't point the gun at each other because we know the range of our guns and where they're going to go. The idiots, you can't help. They're out there. But they don't hunt. They just like to go out and shoot guns and make a mess of things. There's nothing you can do about those people. Sorry. But the hunters, they know. But out on our land, like I say, he's shot those water moccasins and copperheads. But out there also on my daughter's land, my youngest daughter, there's hogs tearing up her property, something fierce. So what we're doing is my son's already killed 2 hogs off of it this year, 3 hogs last year. He's got corn baiting them in so we can make sure and get rid of those things. But they're just, I can't believe the numbers that we're seeing out there.
Oh, yeah.
And this is 2.5 miles from the city limits off of Linwood. And we're having to hunt back there to kill these things because they're all over the place. And so I don't know what else to say. I just say, you know, I don't hunt. I don't own a handgun. I do have a shotgun. Joe Biden said, get a shotgun. I got a shotgun. And I don't hunt. I stopped hunting deer 30 years ago because I get deer fever, and the deer feels very safe if I'm in my line of sight because I'll shoot everything around it.
Yeah.
So I don't hunt anymore. I leave that to my son and grandson. But I really hope you reconsider these type of things and scale back some of these issues as they're coming into play. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. David Todd. Name and address, please, sir.
Well, I got a lot of stories to tell you if you want to listen to it.
Let's have your name and address.
My name is David Todd. I'm 79 years old. I've hunted in Caddo Parish for 64 years. I have not shot nobody yet. I do not waste no shells. And I could tell y'all, you hear all this stuff about the cougars. Well, when you see a cougar over in Bowles, you'll see one here and all that. First thing, the game wardens and the sheriff's department, nobody don't know where they come from. Well, I'm old. The game wardens went and got them and brought them in here when they opened up deer season in 1962 for Area 2. Okay, if you look on your cameras, you'll see wolves, you'll see black panthers, you see hogs, and if you want to look at your camera real good, you see somebody out here running around on their wives. But anyway, I am serious. You find out you got some drunk deputies standing on the side of the road on your property, not where you hunted. You know what I mean? Using the bathroom. You see some funny things. But we're getting our rights took away from you. A few years ago, it was 5 of us hunting over behind the monkey farm. Well, we paid our dues, we built box stands and done all this stuff. They had 3 baby black panthers when you go by the church, go by the veterans cemetery. Well, we had to meet with the man out there on Cross Lake. And he told us we couldn't hunt over it no more because the dead people might see our guns in our trucks. If anybody was a veteran in here, they know what I'm talking about. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I don't care who you was. That's funny. That was funny. Stephen? And while you're coming up, I'm going to go ahead and call the last few cards I've got. Roy Dolling? Yes, yeah. You'll stand over there by the pole. Robert was it Chenning? Robert? Okay. Benjamin Arnold? Eric Hatfield? Let me put my glasses on so I can see. And the last card will be Thomas Stevens. Thomas, where you at? You just stand right there by that pole, sir? That'd be great. Okay, sir, your name and address.
Steve White, 108 Ockley Drive, Shreveport, Louisiana. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
I personally hunt on family property that's been in my family for 6 generations. To the best of my knowledge, there has never been an incident where anyone has been shot, wounded, or in any way a bullet gone close to someone. What we have here on property that was purchased, as I said, almost 100 years ago, when I was a young man or a boy, it was a trek to get to this property. Now, as the city of Shreveport has expanded and subdivisions in rural areas such as Blanchard or so have come up, that this has become close to the property that was purchased for recreational purposes. My point is very simple here. To create laws that prohibit landowners from utilizing their recreational property in the way that they intend to, as long as they are providing it in a safe manner for anyone surrounding that piece of property. To me, this appears to be an infringement upon landowners' rights. And that's simply all that it is. We do have laws that govern it within what I believe Senator Peacock passed recently that seem to take the public safety in mind. But for those of us that have property that, like I said, years ago was far from the city of Shreveport, now that it might be close to the city of Shreveport, this is creating a problem that will affect my children's ability to hunt on our property. And that's what we're talking about, the 7th generation on something that we had procured, or my great-great-grandfather had procured, so that his family could enjoy the things that he enjoyed. Again, I'm just going to make that statement. To me, this appears to be an infringement of individual landowners' rights. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Roy? Name and address, please.
My name is Roy Dowling. I live at 10120 Woolworth Road, Keithville, Louisiana. I'm in District 12, and you may know where my property is. I own some land south of Walnut Hill, about 1 mile, right outside the city limits, right up next to Woolworth Oaks, which is a subdivision. I own 70 acres, 2 businesses right there beside the road before you get to the landfill. And I bought that land for a reason. I bought that land to start a business in Caddo Parish. Secondly, to build my house and to be back in the country, because I'm a country boy, not a city boy. I realize that things change over a period of time. But for this commission and for people, these commissioners, not all of y'all are for this. There's some of y'all that are. I hope you speak up after this is over and really say what you're doing and not behind the scenes, because I know a few of y'all are actually for it, but y'all haven't spoke up. That bothers me. I'm here to say I bought my land, I pay my taxes, I started a business, and you're fisting to run me out of Caddo Parish. Because I have rights. And you want to live in a subdivision, that's your right. But don't infringe on my right. If you go out to my place, come visit me, every one of y'all. I lost my phone the other night. I was trying to call all of y'all. And so I got my phone back, and so you can call me now. Okay, Mr. Smith, everybody that hadn't called me, call me. Be glad to talk to you. Yeah, I'm passionate about this because I'm right across from the subdivision. I lease 640 acres to the west of me. There's nothing but woods over there. we have our hunting stands set up way away from the subdivision on purpose. We're not stupid. Hunters aren't, this isn't the problem. These kids we talk about that are shooting close to property, that's a problem for the parents and the sheriff to deal with. It's not the purpose of this commission to do that. I talked to you, Mr. Epson, at length the other night. I can tell you're for this ordinance to a certain extent. I hope you speak up and tell me that today. It's wrong. You don't tell me, no matter if I live right next to your subdivision, that I can't go to my pond. I have 2 ponds that sit right by my house. I have beavers on them. I've got coyotes everywhere. I live by the landfill. Y'all get rid of the dadgum hogs at the landfill and I'll give you a break. Okay? But until then, don't tell me what I can do on my property. I bought it to do what I do. Y'all voted a can of worms that you're not going to be able to get the worms back in the can. And don't do it on your way out, because that's the wrong way to do it. I'd like for one of these commissioners that's going to be here for a while or table this darn thing until we have a new set of commissioners. Don't do it on your way out because somebody asked you to do it. I want to hear in just a few minutes, Mr. Epson, you've been sitting there, everybody laughed at this gentleman's joke. That was a good laugh. You hadn't laughed one time. My whole point is this is a serious business. It's serious business when you infringe upon property right owners, and you better watch out what you're doing. Yes, sir. Because we have rights and we don't expect them to be stepped on. And this commission doesn't have any business in this fight. There are state laws. Ask one question. How many hunting accidents have hurt somebody in a subdivision in the last 2 years in Caddo Parish? Zip, according to the sheriff. Ask the sheriff how much problem this causes him. Zip. Why are we even doing this? Rescind what's there now because it slipped by me and that's my fault. Okay, as a citizen, I shouldn't let you get the first one by. But I'll be darned if you're going to continue to do it. So, you see who's here. You've kicked the ant bed, Mr. Cox. You better figure out how to put them back. Because I'm going to tell you what, you've messed up. And that's not a threat. That is because it's my land and you don't tell me what to do on it. Okay?
Robert Klingen? Yes, sir.
Oh, great, thanks.
Name and address.
Robert Klingen, 2610 Fairfield Avenue, Shreveport, Louisiana, in rural property in District 12, south of Greenwood, Louisiana. I think we just about beat this dog to death. I am so proud. I can't tell you how happy I am to see all you people here. I'm going to be brief because I really appreciate the extended time. Barry Peacock says he wants to see what I want to see, a repeal of Ordinance 4745 of 2008. Get it off the books. It's in the construction of your ordinances, ladies and gentlemen. You need to work on the legal side of your arguments. First, you need a basis for what you're doing. It can't be safety. There's got to be some hidden agenda here where you're wanting to do this. God help you if it's gun control. You're in the wrong part of the world for that. I remind you of your Home Rule Charter, Section 101, that says all governmental rights originate with the people. Section 205 says you've got a broad scope of powers, and you do. But you must remember the limitation that they must be consistent with the Constitution of the state and the existing statutory laws. So far, everything you've done in this regard and what you've proposed is in violation of that. We've got laws to handle it. Don't keep beating on it. We don't need your law. We don't have a problem. Don't make a problem. Now, the end, and I said I would be brief, and I really mean this. 8 of you are up for re-election out of the 12. October 24th. In less than 2 weeks, the taxpayers of Caddo Parish will help determine what happens to us in this regard. I ask that you repeal 4725, stop all of this 5512 and all this nonsense. Let's get a new team of players in there. Let them have time to get acquainted with the policies and procedures of the commission. And then if you have enough data, information, and ammunition to go forward, we can always visit it, but I don't want to visit this, nor does any man or woman in here, unless you have a legal, valid excuse. I appreciate you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Eric Hatfield.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Constable Eric Hatfield, 10040 Loveland Court, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71106. This is not directed towards you. I've nothing against you, Commissioner Cox, obviously. But I do support the majority in this room, and I am completely against anything that infringes upon our rights as hunters, gun enthusiasts. I mean, just anything that infringes upon our property rights. I mean, these people in this room represent. There's no telling how many acres and how much land and that's theirs to do what they want within the law. But if Louisiana continues and our parish continues to add more laws in the books and more laws that infringe upon property owners, then it's going to force people out of Caddo Parish. That adversely affects our economy and adversely affects every single person in this room that's against this bill, or against this ordinance, excuse me. So I won't take up any more of your time. I'm against it. I support these individuals to stand up against it, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Eric. Benjamin. Name and address.
Benjamin Arnold, 9516 Cinnamon Drive, Shreveport, 71118. You think after 12 years we'd figure out something we agree on, right, David?
We agree, you just don't know yet.
Well, I look forward to hearing that.
Okay.
I'll keep this real brief. I've got 2 points to make. Regardless of our ideological or partisan stand, you don't have to be an attorney to understand this. It's very simple. The first is the Louisiana Constitution. Article 1, Section 2 says, "The right of each citizen to keep and bear arms shall not be abridged."
Shall not.
Shall not. In the U.S. Constitution, Second Amendment says, "The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." And that's all you have to keep in mind when you vote. You cannot infringe upon our right to keep and bear arms. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Thomas? You're the last one, son.
Make it good. Say the best for last.
Thomas Stevens, 8543 Sandy Acres Loop, Shreveport, Louisiana. I've lived here my whole life, and I've hunted just about my whole life. And my family, I'm here for them. I'm not for it at all, okay? I bow hunt and gun hunt, so I'm kind of on both sides of the fence. Bow hunting would be great. Gun hunting is something that we've done our whole life. And I put a lot of money into hunting every year. Probably close to $2,000 a year. So we're looking at about 25 years. And if this passes, my whole family will leave this whole state just because I think it's like a crooked politician type thing to try to bully your way into what we have. And, you know, I don't feel like y'all should be able to say what we do. And everybody else has said that, but I just don't. I personally don't even think the President of the United States should say what we do on our property. But we have this, so we're here because we don't want this to happen. And I mean, it's just one of them things to where I'm super passionate about hunting. It's a way of life for me and my family. And, I mean, if you're gonna try to take that from us, then that's a whole nother day that we're gonna have to, I mean, honestly, if y'all pass it, you're gonna make me a criminal. I'm gonna be the first criminal. I'm not ever gonna quit hunting. I told my wife, before we got married, that is the one deterrent. I will walk away. I love my wife to death. And my kids. They're my stepkids. They're my kids. And that's how passionate I feel about it.
Thank you, sir. And before we go to the other side, which we had one other gentleman, and that was a former parish commissioner, Mr. Jim Morris.
Gentlemen?
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I actually
Name and
served.
address, you ain't been hitting back.
Jim Morris, 225 Gray Street, Belcher, Louisiana, and I apologize for that. Dr. Wilson, it's an honor to be back here before each and every one of you. I represent probably 90% of the people that are out here, and probably 100% of the people are out there in the hall, because there's that many out there too. I'll tell you today, the only thing that I ask you to do, respectfully, is to make sure we don't pass laws with unintended consequences. And the unintended consequences could very well be making a citizen a criminal. Got to be very careful with that. The next thing I'd say is we do have laws on the books with this. And speaking with the DA and the sheriff's office, these things can already be covered. And if we put more laws on the books that can't be enforced, what have we done? Nothing. I just respectfully ask y'all again to appreciate the unintended consequences you might be developing and listen to your people. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Jim. And if those who don't know that gentleman, he was here for, Jim, how long were you on the board? 8 years?
11 years.
11 years?
22 with combat.
Yeah. We appreciate your work down in Baton Rouge. You're a good man. Judy Milkey. She still here?
My name is Judy Milkey, and I live at 3330 Green Terrace Road in Shreveport. And I know some of you I don't, some of the commissioners I don't know. I have sent each of you 3 separate communications this year about this issue. And it is important to me, and it is important to the people who are in my neighborhood. Now, evidently, I think Jim, where did Jim go?
He's already left.
He left. He did a fine job of bringing his people out today, and I think everyone understood that they were going to be here, and I think everybody got pretty scared off. Nobody wanted to really come and face these guys. But I want to begin by telling the audience.
Ms. Milkey,
okay?
Ms. Milkey.
Come to us.
Come to us.
I'm sorry. May I speak to the audience
No,
first?
you look at us.
To the microphone.
I live in a neighborhood where everyone hunts. That is not the problem. I don't have any problem with hunters. I am thankful for them. We have deer running in our neighborhood. The populations have to be controlled. We understand the problem with the feral pigs. They have to be controlled. This is not about hunting. This is not about taking people's property rights. This is about an issue that has been going on in our neighborhood. And our neighborhood doesn't happen to be the entire parish. Our neighborhood abuts the city-parish line on the southwest part of Shreveport. And we have forever heard guns out in the woods. And guns out in the woods have never been a terribly big problem. And most of the time, it is ignored. However, it got to the point at the end of last year where we all knew that there were automatic and semi-automatic, and I'm sorry, you know, please don't fault me for anything about guns, because I'm not really a gun expert, don't know, you know, couldn't tell you, but I can tell you that I walk my dog every day. And so many times I hear guns out in the woods, and I love the woods, and I love living near the woods, and it's fine. However, over the last year, what we have had is heavy gunfire, okay? And I have seen a picture, and I have seen pictures of people in my neighborhood, and there are 2 subdivisions next to the Green Terrace subdivision, and I have seen pictures of, and I don't know if they're kids or if they're adults, but they are out there with, I'm being told, heavy weaponry, and they're out there shooting indiscriminately. Now, when it became a very large problem, what we in our neighborhood tried to do, and what we did do starting in January of this year, was we started to work with the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office to try to get this situation in some semblance of understanding so that we understood what we needed to do to call the sheriff, and the sheriff knew what he would do or what they would do when we called. And we had been going along, getting along, doing this. And the reason we were calling was because there is a section 3248 of the Parish of Caddo ordinances that speaks to the discharge of firearms within 5 miles of the Shreveport city limits. This ordinance has been on the books for 40 years. 40 years. We were only asking the Caddo Parish Sheriff to enforce this ordinance. The sheriff's deputies were very good in terms of understanding this ordinance. We talked to them. They knew how to measure 1 mile. They knew how to measure the 5 miles. They knew what they were talking about. They knew the ordinance. They knew what they were talking about. The problem came not from they're not doing their job. The problem came, as I appreciate it, because they tried to enforce it against the wrong person. And this person in that neighborhood did not like it very much. And consequently, one of our state senators decided that he would take Louisiana Revised Statute 33-120, which has been on the books for 60 years, and it's never been amended in 60 years. Nobody's ever touched it in 60 years. Nothing's been done with it or to it in 60 years. But all of a sudden, we got to fix 33-120, and guess what 33-120 does? Well, now it doesn't allow the sheriff's guys to come out when we call and to enforce the law that's been on the books for 40 years. I walk my dog every day. I know my neighbors. We have children. I have older neighbors. I have stood out there for hours at a time listening to heavy weapons. Now, about 3 weeks ago, 3 months ago, month or so ago, I don't know, 1 to 3, there was a home in our neighborhood that was shot at, okay? Now, I don't believe it had anything to do with the hunters, and I have no problem with any hunter in this room, I promise you. I don't believe it came from a hunter. I believe it, I don't know, street punks, whatever. However, it does not matter to me if I am struck with a bullet from the north of my house or from the south of my house. And on the west of my house, I have holes in my window created by something I know not what, because I wasn't there when it happened. And I don't know what it is.
3 minutes.
I believe I have 15 in opposition.
You're correct.
15.
Mr. Cox, may I continue?
Yes.
Therefore, I was very happy that David Cox brought this issue to the commission, because what I believe Senate Bill 133, Act 259 did was, it took a law that this body passed in 1940, went back and amended a law from 60 years ago to undo what they didn't want done in our neighborhood. Now, what David Cox, what Barrow Peacock, and this is where I'm lost, okay? And I did say I was in favor of this ordinance. Unfortunately, right now, I'm confused because there have been changes, and I am not sure what the proposal is at this time, okay? I, in terms of it being in favor, have no interest in having it applied to anyone outside of the 5 miles around the city of Shreveport.
But it does.
No.
Judy.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Mr. Cox, I have no interest in having this applied to anyone other than those within the 5 miles around the Shreveport Metropolitan Planning Commission. Okay?
Wait, let me interrupt here real quick. Is that I gave everybody on the other side past the 15 minutes so everybody could speak. Okay? A little respect for the other side. Okay, Ms. Milky, you got about five minutes left.
Thank you, sir. I've heard a lot today about parish ordinance, about the state law, and whose authority is what authority, and I understand people who are saying that government has no right to tell me what to do on my property. I get that. But the truth is that we all have to give up certain things for certain other things. And don't give me slippery slope, okay? Just joke.
Okay, last time. As a committee chairman, I'm going to ask y'all to let her speak, simply because that is her God-given right, just like I gave y'all. Okay? Ms. Milky?
My point being that, first of all, I'm confused as to what is being proposed at the present time, and I would like to see a final copy of what is being proposed before I would indicate full favor of the ordinance. Secondly, I do believe that the state law was amended simply because somebody didn't like the sheriff's office going out there to enforce it. Now, my own opinion, y'all have, under the Louisiana Constitution, you have the right to do zoning. This is a zoning and land use issue. And I believe that it is an issue that speaks to my safety, my neighbor's safety. We've got other neighbors, and I would ask that somehow there be a way for everyone to understand what is going to be finally proposed, so that we can all at least agree to disagree. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. I want to take care of two things real quick. Joey Paulette, raise your hand. Joey, you still here? Yeah. Believe it or not, is Mr. Burford, if you would do me a favor, you had a legislation down in Baton Rouge about the hogs, correct, this year? Yes. Would you get with that gentleman before he leaves today, or when y'all?
He behind that podium, Richie.
That gentleman right there, if y'all could get together and explain to him what you've done down in Baton Rouge, I sure would appreciate it. And thanks for being here too, sir. One other one, Andy Bickham. Andy, did you leave? The stoplight that you're talking about, have you went to the city engineers and basically your representative for the city?
My neighbors.
Okay, well, your subdivision.
No, it's not my subdivision. It's an associate of mine.
Okay. Okay, if you don't mind, if you would see me after the meeting, I'd like the address of where that corner is.
I know where it is.
You know where it is?
Well, we've been through it.
You with the city? Okay. If you will see me afterwards, and let's see what we can talk about. Okay. Okay. First off, let me. Okay. First off, we're going to have some commissioners that are requesting to speak. First one is Mr. Escadade.
Thank you. I would like to move, for lack of a better word, that we kill and bury proposed ordinance 5512. Second. I'd like to speak on it, please.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Who seconded?
I did.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Escadade, seconded by Commissioner Dominic to kill the ordinance, or remove the ordinance. And go ahead and speak on your motion.
First of all, I'd like to say I'm very happy that so many people have showed up today. There were many of us on this body, and I can only speak for myself, but I can tell you, we were never supporting this and never were going to support it. And we were quietly fighting, and once it was going to come up on the agenda, we were going to publicly fight it. But provided quite a bit of support today and made that much easier on our behalf. I think this needs to go away, and as a recommendation, what I think this committee needs to do from here is to go ahead and take the current parish ordinances that exist, compare them to state law, and get rid of the redundancy, get rid of the overkill, make sure that we're in compliance, and then probably what we're going to find out is we don't really need to do anything. There has been talk that the previous ordinance, and maybe the ordinance that Ms. Milky mentioned that was 40 years old, has been superseded now by state law that Senator Peacock passed. Well, if that is the case, then that law, and I'm not an attorney, but as far as I know, that law is null and void at this point. So we just need to do probably whatever we need to do to get that on the books, to get ourselves lined up with state law. Once again, I want to thank you for coming here, and I just want you to know that many of us were not supporting this. I was listening to, I can't remember the guy's name, but Gritz Gresham's son's got the Gun Talk show, and he's going, have they lost their minds in Caddo Parish? And I'm frantically texting, no, not all of us, you know, but I mean, anyway, I appreciate you showing up today, and hopefully we're going to take care of this. Thank you.
Doug Dominic.
Yeah, I'd like to say a few things that when this initially got brought up on the, I guess a few weeks ago, that I had requested that it come to a committee to be studied. I have not been for this, am not for this. I've got numerous telephone calls, emails galore, Facebook messages, and my response was simply, hey, I'm not for this. And I knew North Caddo was not for it, but I wanted to make sure the southern part of the parish and the other part of the parishes would come out, and I thank you guys for Keithville, Greenwood, the other areas of the parish for being here. I know I see Joey Rochelle, Joey Paulette, Mr. Noble. I know you. I don't know if you know who I am, but when y'all first started, I was going, good gosh, it's all North Caddo Parish. But we do see people from other parts of the parish that are here. My family farms, we're fourth generation farmers. We hunt, we own large acreage. Joey, out there where we've been hunting, Mr. Rice, where you were hunting the other day with me, within, in my brother's hayfield, we have a subdivision. The way this thing was going to kill us from hunting right there in probably the most ruralest area you can in Caddo Parish. I thank y'all for coming out. I think that the way this thing was initially attended, it was not to affect everybody in the rural areas, but the way it was written, it was. And we would have done our best to kill it, but there was an article, obviously, in the Inquisitor that caused a lot of ability for y'all to come out today. We appreciate y'all being here today. I'm proud to support Commissioner Escudet's motion, and Commissioner Lynn and Commissioner Escudet and I have already talked. We're going to be putting it on there to repeal the current ordinance as it stands right now also. Thank you.
Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to commend the public, the people, for the spirit of democracy, and to you, for running a very productive meeting, being fair to everyone, allowed them the opportunity to speak. I do like I think what we'll be talking about today is about responsible gun owners and irresponsible gun owners. The people we have in the room are responsible hunters, responsible gun owners. What the young lady talked about, irresponsible individual in their community using a fire weapon in their particular community that are not responsible. So I like the fact that we had some common ground, was able to work together to come up with a compromise and recognize that it affects people that want to hunt. That's why people move to the rural area to hunt. They hunt on their property. And I'm a strong proponent of the Second Amendment. Nobody has the right to take away your right to bear arms. This is the sportsman paradise of America, the state of Louisiana. But one day we're going to talk about these semi-automatic weapons and getting in the wrong hands and background checks and mental health problems. This is a national conversation, as we just saw the shooting in Oregon. We can't become numb to this. It's not the responsible gun owner, but there are some people that are getting these semi-automatic weapons are getting in the wrong hands. And daily, as we watch our news, we see innocent people being shot by irresponsible gun owners. There's going to come a point when we all want to come together and work together for the betterment of our country to ensure that law-abiding citizens are protected and they're safe. I know that people kill people with guns, and guns don't kill people. There's got to find a way where we can stop all of this madness in our country. It's the greatest country on the planet. And if Australia can have some modest gun laws, and Britain can have some modest gun laws, why can't we? We're not talking about responsible gun owners and hunters. We're talking about these weapons getting in the hands of killing our children, killing our people in our country. And I know the NRA does support some modest policy that regarding weapons. Commissioner Evans and I did a program years ago that we saw so much killing in our community. Maybe it wasn't the right approach, but we tried something. So many people in our district, they're not hunters. They've been hunted on by each other every day because of guns and drugs. So if you can help us to work together. I see a lot of my firefighter buddies who brought good deer meat to the fire station. I see Chief Cotton, and I see Buddy, and the captain just got up area. They brought good deer meat to work, and we ate deer. I ate a lot of gaming when I became a firefighter. I never ate gaming until I became a firefighter. I respect the sport of hunting, the sport of NRA. I respect you. But hopefully today that we can move forward and find a way where we get for common ground and be concerned about the public safety of the young lady that spoke. In no way we want to impose on your rights and infringe on your property to bear arms and shoot weapons on your property. So hopefully I'll be supporting the ordinance we have today to repeal it with my colleagues. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Bowman.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Cox. Thank you, President. Just want to say a great meeting, and also to the people who are here today, I think this is a true sign of democracy, and the fact is that we're not here to represent ourselves, we're here to represent you all. We're supposed to be your voice, and so when you come out and support, or when you say whatever it is, that's when we're supposed to support you. And so I just want to applaud each of you all.
Okay, no one else? I'll close it up and then we'll start through the proposed. Is that once I want to thank y'all again for coming out. My original reason, and y'all been wanting to know, y'all been wanting to hear from me, well, here it is. We had a problem, and that problem is not only in Southern Hills, it's in Ellaby Road, it's in certain areas of this parish where the parish line and the city meets. At no time, and I reiterate, at no time was I ever going to go against gun rights in this parish or in this state or in this country. I own guns, I hunt, I do everything you do. Then we started getting a little bit deeper into it, and there again, the ordinance that was proposed was basically the wrong one. I take full credit. I've told the media that, and some of the media is here, but I can only tell you that there was only one media outlet that would let me come speak and get my message out, and that was Patrick Dennis and his hunting show, 360 something, I don't know what it is. He was the only one that was willing, sir?
IU Outdoors 3.
There you go. Right. Thank you, Jill. He was the only one that was actually letting me come out and speak. And in today's technology, where you have the ability to say something and it runs like wildfire, well, this is what this did. But I can tell you what this did do. In 2008, this body passed something that shouldn't have been passed. Okay? At that time, I've been talking to the people in Southern Hills that are affected by people walking in the woods shooting guns. Not only does everybody have legal rights to bear arms, but homeowners also have rights too. Okay? We need to have common ground on this issue. We need to go back and take the law that's in the parish now, and I agree with Mr. Escaday. We need to strip it and redo it. Now, as far as Mr. Barrel Peacock and his legislation down in Baton Rouge this past year, I never knew about it. If he did, if I would have known that, this would have been gone a whole another way. But it did do a couple things. One, it shows that we, and I'm including myself in this too, we as a whole believe wholeheartedly we have the right to bear arms and protect our property and do and hunt where we want to. That's not the issue here. The issue itself was to take a problem where the city and the parish meet and there are subdivisions within that area and protect those people. Are they hunters? 9 times out of 10, no. So who gets dumped on when something like this comes up? Us, the hunters. And I agree, I understand what you're saying. I agree with 99.9% of the people who came up here to this podium, except for the one that wants the cameras catching some guy in the woods when he ain't supposed to be.
And may catch you.
Not yet. I want everybody to know that this committee, how this committee works, is that it will take this ordinance, and we have 2 other ordinances that are on our agenda today. And that covers some other issues, but it's been brought to the floor and seconded today. And we will do that today. We will vote on that today. But let it be known that when it's repealed, this committee will go back and look at this ordinance again and take the ordinance that was passed by Borough Peacock and look at what is missing. Okay? Because something is missing because somebody's not being taken care of. Okay? My job, whether it be for the next 3 months, and I have served proudly Parish of Caddo, whether it be my district or north or south. And I am not ashamed of anything I have done or said. But what I will tell you today is that because of the due diligence of you people today, I'm not changing my stand, but what I am changing is the ability to go back and redo a mistake that was made in 2008. And I hope you'll understand that in doing so, we're not only taking it back, but we're going to redo it. We're going to look at this again cold-heartedly, to the point where everybody has their God-given right to bear arms and go hunt, whatever. A gentleman called me the other day. If I got a wild hog come up in my yard, what am I going to do? I said, shoot it and give me the bacon. Common sense has a lot to do with what we're doing here today. One gentleman said, you can't do anything with idiots. I agree, and most of the people who are doing this are idiots. But I'm going to have the sheriff's department and the police department, to a certain point, help us out. Simply because there was one instance that, they couldn't go in those woods because where are they going to find them? So we have gun owners or kids or stupid idiots that are doing things that just ain't right. Okay? I hope you will all understand my reasoning for bringing this forward, and that we have a long way to go. But, some people some people, made some comments, which I'm here as chairman to run this meeting the way I see fit. And I want to thank each of y'all for coming here and making your voice heard and giving us your opinion. Okay? That's all my spiel. All right, we'll go to the motion to the floor. Once again, let's reread the motion.
The motion is to remove proposed ordinance 5512 from the agenda.
Show hands. All right, our computers are not
Show of
set
hands from
to
the committee.
to the seat, so show of hands.
All yays. Okay.
Okay, and that passes. Now, let me explain to you what's going to happen now. We will have a committee meeting set for, and that will set up the rest of the agendas and come back and see this at a later time. Any other questions? Mr. Escudate.
I would like to move that we defer the remaining of this agenda to the next committee meeting.
Second.
Amen.
That's without, he's not on this, he can get on leave. That's without exception. Any other thing?
Without exception. Let's go.
Okay, yeah, vote, show of hands.
Okay.
And once again, I want to thank everybody for coming out. Meeting adjourned. I ain't worried about that 37 minutes.